Welcome back to another episode of Disrupting Asia. I'm Kian, your host here at Disrupting Asia and currently based out of Chiang Mai in Thailand. Disrupting Asia is a platform that helps to connect entrepreneurs like you in Asia. Our aim is to build communities around the continent and to become the number one source for reliable news and information around Asia's startups. Every week we will feature talented entrepreneurs like you here in Asia who build and grew successful businesses. We will also talk about essential skills, tools and systems that will make not only your business but also you personally more successful. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. In this week's show, I'm talking with Sarun Pinyarat, the CEO of Fungjai.com, Thailand's largest music community startup, about entrepreneurship, the idea behind Fungjai, and the ups and downs of being the CEO of a startup. Hey everyone, and welcome to Disrupting Asia. My guest on today's episode is Sarun. He's the founder of Fungjai.com, the biggest music startup in Thailand since 2014. Welcome to the show.
Hi everyone. Thanks Kian for having me here. My name is Sarun, or in Thai I have a nickname Top, so you can refer me as both. Yeah, you can call me Top. So,
Got it. Yeah, welcome. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good.
Fantastic.
Working day, a bit busy, but all good.
Okay, for those of you who don't know him, he's the founder and CEO of Fungjai, the fastest growing music community startup in Thailand since 2014. You're also the co-founder of Beer Visual Specialist School and FUUM Design Studio. He received a degree in industrial design from Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, which, by the way, I think it's a very prestigious university. An MA in graphic design from Aalto University in Helsinki in Finland. And you worked around the world, right? You worked obviously in Thailand, in Copenhagen, in Denmark, in Silicon Valley. You're a very busy entrepreneur. You're a very busy person.
Thank you.
Okay.
So as you said, I started off first being a graphic designer, then turned entrepreneur when I returned to Bangkok 4 years ago.
Okay. And when did you realize that you have this entrepreneurial gene inside of you? What made you shift that you said, I see that you're like a very creative person, right? Like looking at your background, you're into design and all those things. You're a very creative person. But when was the time when you said okay, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to just create things on the computer. I don't want to only create designs, but I actually want to create companies. I want to make a difference. When was that? When did you have the switch? Was there any situation, any specific moment?
Yeah. So as a graphic designer, most of the career path would be you work in a design studio for maybe 3 or 4 years, and eventually you would started your own business, as a design studio. But if looking at as a graphic design career, normally is when you open up a studio, it's more like a service company. You have clients, they have their needs, and you serve their needs. So always in my mind that this would be my career path, right? I would have to create something to serve a client or some other people need. So there hasn't really been anything on my mind that I would create my own product or service.
Okay.
For the audience to use, and that kind of changed when I was in Silicon Valley. When I was abroad and studying, in the back of my mind, I always know that one day I will return to Bangkok and I would probably start my own design studio. But having been in Silicon Valley, and I was in a really small startup, 5 people, and I was their only designer, and it was called Breezy. And at that point, then I realized that, hey, it's actually possible to actually, create a product or service of your own when there's no actual, clients, but you have instead customers, not clients.
Got it.
You don't need a big investment. You can start off with basically very low budget and very small team, and then you can grow from there. And by being in a Silicon Valley in San Francisco, and you were in this environment where you met up a lot of people. There were a lot of hackathons, and there was this, the whole thing is embedded in a startup culture, and you get this feeling anything is possible, even though you are small people, or you don't have a big team, you don't have a big budget. So from that experience, to have my own product and services for for the society, not just, for one or two clients.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How much time did you spend in Silicon Valley? How long have you been there?
A year.
A year. Okay.
Yeah.
When was that?
That was in 2013. I think.
Okay, not that long ago, 5 years. And how would you compare Silicon Valley to Thailand now, to maybe Bangkok? Because I've seen there are a lot of new programs, new initiatives here in Thailand, like Startup Thailand, very big community, a lot of events happening right now. So how do you see currently like the startup community here in Thailand? Not only in Bangkok, maybe it's the hub, but like generally in Thailand.
So going back by 2013, I think at that time the word startup basically didn't exist in Thailand. Or very, very, very small people know about it.
All right.
But in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley, it was just already like everywhere, So I would say maybe we are about 10 years behind, because like from at that point to here 2018, then it's become a norm. Now everyone knows the word startup already. There's a lot of like an ecosystem, right? There are plenty of VCs, there are a lot of incubators, and there's a lot of these like co-working space coming up, every day. But it's still like if I'm comparing to my experience 5 years ago in Silicon Valley, it's still quite far off. Like there, it's just almost part of everyday life. You walk into a cafe, you can see everyone just like, coding something, like literally coding something.
Okay. Wow.
On
in
a
the
coffee
cafe.
table.
Okay.
It's almost like, it's almost like everyone is building something all the time. And there's hackathon like every week, basically like meetups every day if you want to learn something, and everything is free. It's very open. So if you are really like industrious, you can go to meetup every day. Like one day you can be at Microsoft, the other day you can be at Twitter, or there's all these big companies they host this startup meetups, and they invite a lot of great speakers. So it's like everyday lifestyle there. So I think we are getting there, but it's probably gonna take us maybe 5 more years to the point where, of course, the government has to push this a lot more, but maybe like in 5 years, we can see that picture, in certain cities in Thailand, especially in Bangkok. Yeah, so that would be like my comparison. Because when I was back here in 2014, the startup word was already like quite known. There are already like a few success cases, but not that many incubators. Yeah, I think maybe in 5 years, we can see kind of the same environment as in Silicon Valley.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I can see also a lot of co-working spaces popping up here in Chiang Mai. So it's definitely coming here. I've been now here in Thailand, here in Chiang Mai since 2014. So about 4 years, and already back then, co-working space was already a thing here. But there are like more and more coming now. And it's interesting. The community here is also interesting, like both Thais and foreigners, like working together, building something together. I like to see that. This is like pretty interesting. Let's talk about Fungjai. What was the idea behind?
Yeah. So basically, when I returned from Silicon Valley back to Bangkok, so I had this idea implanted in my mind already, right? That I wanted to, build a startup, create some product or service. And in the meantime, I was working as a still graphic designer and also a part-time teacher. Because, you need the money to survive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In the time I was like coming up with ideas and, just in my mind, just by myself, like no one else. There were plenty of them that I thought of, but then somehow music struck me, because back when I was a teenager, I always, listen to this kind of like independent alternative music in Thailand. You listen to indie music, that's the place to go. And, they have done many activities. But by the time I got back here, it was already closed, like Fat Radio was no more. So, my pain point at that time was that I was trying to catch up, because I have been away from Thailand for like 4 or 5 years. So I was trying to catch up with all this like new independent music. And it turns out there was really like no place that collect all these things together. Like there's here and there, it's all fragmented. Like I have to go follow one Facebook page to another Twitter account. And, there was really like no consolidated place that all these independent musicians can feel like they're part of this community. So, and also like I was using Spotify when I was in Finland, because it was, created by, Swedish, it's a Swedish company, right? And a lot of people in Finland were using it. Spotify. And and I feel like listening to music on music streaming services is much better than on video streaming services like YouTube. Sure. The experience is way better. So combining that and with the interest in the community. So these two ideas kind of, collide together. And I was like, okay, why not we have Spotify for indie music in Thailand? Man. So that was kind of really simple. There was no big idea moment. It's just, okay, from my own pain point and from my experience of using good software. And so I thought okay, maybe if I want to have this, so perhaps there may be other people would want to use this service too. So that was kind of the beginning. And then I started off start talking to people about this idea, people around me who are maybe in the entertainment industry, people I know, and, some are in music industry. And, the funny thing is almost everyone I talk to say, no, don't do it.
And yet you did it.
Music industry is in Thailand is dying. Why would you want to build something like this? Who would want to use this? And I was okay. Not very positive feedbacks. But then when I started talking to the artists, it's a whole different story. It's really quite challenging to talk to them because the word music streaming was basically also non-existent. There was only Deezer at that time, and it was not that popular. A lot of people have the app because they use DTAG. Not many people were using. So when I talked to the artists, they were okay, what is music streaming? What is Spotify? Yeah, there was no Apple Music back then. So it took some time to talk to them. But the thing that interests them the most was to have a place where they feel like they belong. Because after Span Radio, it's quite tough now. Where do we go from here? And push encouragement for me to push on with the project. So I know that I can design and I can do all the front end stuff. But then I would need some, developers to help me with the back end. So then I found my other co-founders who are developers, a friend of a friend, and then, talk to them, pitch them the idea, and, convince them to hey, let's do this after our working hours. So then I got my 4 co-founders, and then we started building the prototype together, basically every day after 6 until midnight. For 4 months. Then finally we released the beta, and I was really fortunate because they were really mature, and they were financially they are all stable, right? So they have full-time jobs that well paid. So they don't really think about money. They also have this same startup spirit that they want to build something. They have actually built something before, but it was not very successful because they were only group of developers, so they don't have designers. So actually it was a good match because I have some creative thinking and also a little bit on marketing side, and they have the expertise to build something with the coding and all the programming skills. So when we mix this together, and there was also another co-founder who joined us, who is more he's an artist, and he has been in the community, so he know a lot of people and he know what artists want. So all these together combined, then we have quite a perfect team. One guy who is a creative, then 3 guys who are developers, and 1 guy who is more a community manager.
Got it. Okay.
So, and then together for 4 months, then we released the first beta on October 2014, and then we went on from there.
Okay, wow, that's amazing. Now you've been almost 4 years now doing this, and can you share any obstacles you had to overcome?
Sure. So there are a couple of things that I can share with. The first is basically belief that we can actually, complete the project, because, to a certain point, I think around months 2 that we were developing the first beta, already there were a new service coming to Thailand, K-pop, Line Music, and then we hear something that Apple is going to do something, and it was really discouraging for us because look at all these big guys, they come in what are we going to do? But basically I told the team hey guys, we have spent 2 months already building, and if we stop here, for sure there's 0% of success, 0% chance of success. But if we actually publish it, let the society, let the people actually try to use it. Maybe there's 0.001% of being successful, but it's not 0, right? And we are only halfway there. So let's just, what I would say is nobody knows the future, and few people cannot judge the product. Sometimes you let the public see for what it is, and then let's see how it goes from there. So that's kind of the one big hurdle that we overcame. And then of course afterward we launched the product. It was not like a big success, but it was, gaining enough traction. Like the first month we have about 4,000 users. Yeah, which is pretty good. Like
actually, that's not bad. Yes.
Yeah, basically we don't have anything. Like we don't have any budget. We don't have any. Like we don't buy any ads. So
sure.
Yeah, so it's the word of mouth, and it kind of proved to us that okay, this is going somewhere. Like at least there's people who want to use this. But then the next hurdle came when we started to realize it's going to be very difficult to get the people to pay for the service. First, like our business model is going to be like copying Spotify, right? Just have a free trial and like you can use it for free. But if you want to get rid of the ads, then you can, pay the premium and then you can save it for offline and whatnot. But then we came to realize from, looking at all the behavior of the users and looking at our competitors that this is probably not going to be the business model of the future. Not many people in Thailand are willing to pay for music just yet. I mean, even now it's still quite small percentage who actually pay for any services at all. So we have to shift. We have to think about now like the financial side of the product. Okay, we have a product that people loving to use, but then what's next? Like how do we actually make this a living? So then we look at other aspects of music where we can actually make money. And one thing that we learn that people still pay is for going to events.
Yes, I saw it. You're offering events as well, right?
Yeah. So basically we're like, okay, maybe this is something that we can look into.
Okay.
First, it actually came off as a way to promote Fungjai. Like, okay, how do we, get people to know more about us? So yeah, there was an idea from one of our team members who say like, okay, let's make it physical. And we should, host a concert. And we did that. And then it was actually like, it turned out to be a little bit profitable for the very first concert we did, and it was a huge turnout. Like almost 2,000 people came.
Wow!
And yeah, it was really big success. And after that, we know okay, maybe this is like a way to go. Like we build community online, and then we turn to offline to actually like monetize for people coming to our show, to tickets and through sponsorship. So in a way, from this happening is that we pivoted a little bit already how our business model was very scalable, like at least that's what we thought. And then we realized that might not be the case. And then we shifted to this, something else that it's like a survival mode now. Like, okay, whatever, trying to like a way to generate income from this, maybe that's the way to go. And luckily from doing that first concert, which was a huge success, that a lot of press were, giving us attention. I think 2 weeks after the concert for straight month, there was, we did interview every day.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like great for PR. And and eventually this PR led to attracting one of our investors, our main investor, which is UPI. Our main investor, and they were interested in, Kun Mu, the CEO of UPI, he was interested in investing in Fungjai. So, and in a way that kind of solved our financial situation, because it really got to a point where I couldn't really ask all the guys to quit that job to work for Fungjai because I don't have that kind of money. Yeah. And we were like in the middle of like, okay, what do we do from here? Like, what's the next step? And we were thinking about fundraising already, but then, this happened. And then, so that was kind of like one turning moment where we I asked everyone to quit that job, and now I start paying them. Yeah.
Are you planning to expand to Indonesia? Because I saw that you're offering.
So right now we actually just started.
Okay. I see. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Great.
So we have 3 people there working for us already.
Wow.
Yeah. So
amazing.
we are trying to build the same independent musician community in Indonesia as well. So let's see how that goes.
Great. What would you say? You're currently the CEO of Fungjai. What are your main responsibilities? Like, what do you do on a day-to-day basis, basically?
So, like, from these 4 years, we have grown quite a lot. Mm-hmm. So we have 3 products now, actually, within the same company. So we have Fungjai. We have a new product called Song Checks.
Okay.
which is focusing more on the cover musician.
Yeah.
So Fungjai is more towards the original musicians where they have their own music.
Mm-hmm.
But Songshakes would be gearing towards more people who like to sing cover, like sing other people's songs. And then we also have Lensot, which is like a booking platform where if you want a band playing for your wedding or your company party, you can come shopping for bands.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah.
And I'm kind of like overseeing, all of these 3 products. And, like most of CEO would say like, okay, be projecting, you are like seeing the vision of the company and whatnot. But another side that I would like to share is probably like, I think being a CEO is more like being a cheerleader in a way.
Okay.
Sometimes you are like a psychiatrist.
Amazing. Okay.
You're dealing with a lot of like, actually, I think it's more like you're dealing with the well-being of your team.
Yeah.
I think to be a CEO, in my opinion, is like to try to create a good environment. I mean, all the people that I hire in one way or another, they are better than me. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I wouldn't hire them, right? So they are better some would be better than me designing. Some would be better than me in, talking with the clients. Some would be better than me in, programming. Mm-hmm. So we have all these great talents. And as a CEO, what you want to do is to create an working environment that they feel comfortable. They feel like they can perform to their fullest. I think that's like, that's one great part of the job that, that nobody really, ever told me about, but then you kind of learn when you started being a leader of a company.
Sure.
And the other thing is like I think also in the meantime, you are like a janitor, like a housekeeper, because, whatever problems, whatever like craps just happen in the company, you are the first one. You have to be the first one to deal with it. You have to be like heads on, like, okay, what is the problem? And you make the best decision as good as possible to deal with the issues, whether it's internal or external. But in a way, you cannot be the person who like shy away from the problem.
Sure. Absolutely.
Whenever, big or small, like at the end of the day, you tackle these heads on and team, like the pros and cons of this and that decision. But at the end of the day, you kind of like, you make the call. Sometimes you make the wrong ones.
Okay. That's part of the job, I think.
But that's part of the job. But I really feel like I'm, many hats in one person.
Sure.
Like I say, like, you cheer up the people, you consult them when they are depressed, and when some craps happen, and you deal with them. And
what would you say about like work-life balance? Do you have anything like this? Because you seem to be
at the beginning. At the beginning, I work as graphic designer, and then I teach, and I have to use the income from these 2 sources to feed into Fungjai.
Yeah.
So I have like 3 jobs.
3 jobs, okay.
Basically, so you work on Fungjai, design for clients, and then I teach.
Okay.
That's a lot of work. At the beginning, it was so tough. Work-life balance, there's no such thing. Right now, it's much better. Everything is more structured. I try not to bring work to my home. So instead, on weekends, I come to office sometimes. Not like try not to work at home. So if I feel like, okay, on Saturday or Sunday, if I feel like I have to finish up.
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
But it's already not happening that often. It's
okay. Got it. What would you say before we wrap the interview up for like new entrepreneurs or those who are thinking about like creating their own business? What advice would you give? Like, do you have like 1 or 2 like advices you would give to someone who's just starting out or who's planning to create a business? Yeah.
So whenever people come up asking this question to me, like, I think the first thing that I would tell them is to be very realistic. Don't be like super optimistic. Don't feel like, hey, everyone is going to use this. This is going to be great. I would always advise them to always look at the downside. Like, okay, what if people don't use it? What if this and this happen? Like, what would you do then? Like, don't only, it's because like, it's great. You have this spirit, you have the fire, like, oh shit, this is great idea. And you really want to do it. And that's super awesome. But sometimes this optimism can blind you in a way that you don't see the downside of like, okay, what would happen if this and this happen? Like you should like always make these kind of scenarios. So you have some kind of like backup plans, like, okay, if this doesn't work, then I do this. Or if this competitor comes into your market, then I do that. So, be in this, and also being realistic in a way that you should also take a look at your own interests and your own circumstances, your own abilities, right? If you're creating something, say, if you are making shoes, for example, you want to shoes is your main product, like, do you know how to make shoes, or you just love wearing them? Do you actually like know how to make one, and like from the start to finish, do you know how the industry works? Do you know like who is the players involved? Do you know like who is your customers and whatnot? Who is your competitor? So if you don't, then you should start really like knowing what, if you're going into this industry or in this direction, you should really know everything about it. You should, if you don't know, then you gather as much information as possible. And also you look at your own ability, like what's your role in this company and what's your skills? Do you actually have the skill sets, or what part of skill set do you have and what you don't have? If what you don't have, then you have to find some other people to plug in to make it like a complete team, right? Like at Fungjai, like I told you that, okay, I know I can create, I can do graphic, I can do front end stuff, but then there's these many things that I cannot do. So you have to assemble a team. You know your own skills, and then you have to complete the rest from the others.
I see. Okay.
And don't try to do it all, like everything by yourself. And the last thing would be being realistic, means that you should financially, before you quit your job and like, okay, I'm gonna pursue my great startup life and whatnot. And you should actually take a deep look at your finances.
Okay.
You have to really calculate out like, how am I gonna survive from now on? Like, what's my pay rent? What's my food cost? What's my daily life cost? And then
that's amazing.
Then you look at you look at what you have in your bank account, and then you actually have to calculate like, how long can I keep doing this? And without having to asking for those around you for help. Like you don't want to be a burden to your family or your loved ones, right? You have to consider like,
so true. Yeah.
What if you fail? Would it hurt anybody else around you?
Sure.
You have to think like, what you're dragging them into if you quit your job now and you start this path.
Yeah.
That you're doing. So all of these things together, and it boils down to like, being realistic is what I mean. Like, you have to look at all these aspects.
Amazing advice. Yeah. Great advice.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much. It was really great having you on the show. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Yeah.
Also, thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you. See you. Bye.
What a great guy. Have you had any takeaways? What's the current stage of your startup? Head over to our Facebook group, Disrupting Asia, and share your experience. We'll be having many more great guests coming up over the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned and consider subscribing to the show. Be on every major platform like iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify.